Well, the political storm hovering over India's new parliament is gathering speed by the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decision to inaugurate the new parliament building instead of President Droupadi Murmu has been strongly criticized by opposition parties. They see it as a strategic political move by the BJP-led government designed to give itself an edge in next year's parliamentary election. With a handful of exceptions, nearly all opposition parties have not only expressed their disapproval of the government's decision, they have in fact decided to boycott the inauguration ceremony altogether. It is scheduled to take place this Sunday on the 28th of May. In a joint letter, the opposition parties have said, and I quote, Prime Minister Modi's decision to inaugurate the new parliament building by himself, completely sidelining President Murmu, is not only a grave insult but a direct assault on our democracy. This undignified act insults the high office of the President and violates the letter and spirit of the Constitution. It undermines the spirit of inclusion which saw the nation celebrate its first woman Adivasi President. The letter by the opposition goes on to say, undemocratic acts are not new to the Prime Minister, who has relentlessly hollowed out Parliament. Opposition members of Parliament have been disqualified, suspended and muted when they raise the issues of the people of India. When the soul of democracy has been sucked out from Parliament, we find no value in a new building. That is their argument. Some in the opposition have also criticized the scheduling of the event on the birth anniversary of Veer Savarkar, the Hindutva ideologue whose political and ideological views were radically divergent from those of Mahatma Gandhi. Savarkar has been accused of pledging lifelong loyalty to the British after his prolonged incarceration during India's freedom struggle. Now, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has countered the opposition's criticism by accusing it, especially the Congress party, of lacking national spirit and sense of pride in India's progress. He has argued that former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had inaugurated the Parliament Annex building in October 1975 and successor Rajiv Gandhi had laid the foundation of the Parliament Library on 15th August 1987. Puri said, and I quote, if your head of government can inaugurate the Parliament Annex and Library, then why can't the head of the government of this time do? It's as simple as that. The question we're asking is this just the beginning of a long and bitter political battle between the government and the opposition in an election year? Also, should Parliament, the seat of Indian democracy, be dragged into an unseemly political war? Dr. Mishra, since your party and government are in the line of fire, I will get you to respond to what the opposition is saying and what you've heard Smita Gupta just say. Of course, you know about the contents of the opposition's joint letter, which is calling this decision of the government to have Prime Minister Modi instead of the President inaugurate the building an assault, a direct assault on India's democracy. They are saying you're undermining the office of the President, and they are referring to the fact that she is India's first woman Adivasi President. At the same time, I just want to point out to you that when, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri says that if Indira Gandhi can inaugurate the Parliament Annex and Rajiv Gandhi can lay the foundation of the Parliament Library, then why can't the head of the present government do so? To that, I just want to quote Congress leader Jairam Ramesh, who has said that there is a fundamental difference between inaugurating an annex where officials work and a library which is hardly used on the one hand, and inaugurating the temple of democracy and its sanctum sanctorum itself. Your response?
See, I have heard everybody and I know what the Congress feels and what the Congress and all the opposition is doing. It's nothing else but it is just the politics and just they are preparing for 24 election, the opposition unity. There is nothing more than that. And if you see, they are trying to build up a team of opposition on which every political party, every opposition party at least consented on the same issue. And this is the one point where they are able to do so. So I just wanted to show one picture of our India's president with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. You can see this is the reality. This was the president of India, and this is what the Congress or opposition bonds. They have never contradicted on this particular picture, and this
Okay,
is
so I'm not
what
sure what
Congress.
you're referring to. What is objectionable in this picture?
I am referring it that who is Sonia Gandhi? Sonia Gandhi is nothing but a Congress leader, and President of India is standing in front of her
She was
with the
UPA
folded hand.
chairperson though.
But she is not above the president of our country. So
No,
the
she's not.
Congress have always used president as they have used like Mrs. Pratibha Patil when she was president, and at this time the president of our country is this is a scheduled tribe president. When she was selected by Bharatiya Janata Party, then you must know what Udit Raj said, what Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said when he was leader of opposition in our same parliament. When the TMC leader, what the TMC leader said, everybody knows. Even Ajay Kumar said worst thing about him. So they are not here for the basically prestige of president, but they are doing just a politics. And countrymen are very smart enough to understand what the opposition is doing. And I don't think there is any problem. It has been decided, and it is decided by the government only that what should be done, who should come for inauguration, and it has already been decided, and they are just doing the politics, nothing else, as
Okay.
they are doing in past many issues. So this is one of the many issues for them. I
Okay.
don't see anything relevant in this.
Okay, the opposition is playing politics, but let me ask you this, even though I'm not sure what is objectionable in the picture that you showed us, but the question that I want to ask you is, and I'm only quoting the opposition here, you know, you're accusing them of playing politics. They are saying it is the government which is trying to make a strategic political move in order to gain an advantage going into the 2024 general elections. So they are accusing you of exactly the same. The simple question is, why the Prime Minister, why not the President?
The parliament is going to inaugurate it. It was built as our constitution itself says, after few years there are number of member of parliament and number of members will increase. So we need the bigger parliament. It is 100-year-old. So in my opinion, what you are saying means quoting the opposition. What opposition is saying that we are doing the politics. You must be remembering that when Droupadi Murmu was the selected as a presidential candidate, Pondicherry Congress official handle says she is a dummy candidate. So since the inception of Droupadi Murmu as a president of BJP, candidate of president of BJP, from the same day, they are always against this president and President Droupadi Murmu ji, and they have shown multiple episodes and multiple statements by the Congress person or from the opposition person in maligning their image, maligning the presidential image of our country. So
Okay.
they are trying to do the same thing, and they are doing the same politics everywhere, nothing
Okay,
less
that
than or
sounds
more
like
than
a
politics.
sweeping statement. You're accusing the entire Congress party of maligning the reputation of the president. But you're still not answering the question, why not the president, why the prime minister? But Mita Chakraborty wants to come in. Mita Chakraborty, the BJP says all you are doing is playing politics. This has become a rallying point for the opposition to come together and attack the government over. That's all there is to it. Please respond.
Okay, firstly, a quick revert to what the BJP spokesperson said. And the revert is that if you just take a picture out in isolation and you try to prove a point, then nothing gets proven. This is not about Congress, this is not about BJP, this is about the constitution of the country. And I will read out a statement from Article 79, which says, Constitution of Parliament, that there shall be a parliament for the union, which shall consist of the president and the two houses, known respectively as the Council of States, which is the Rajya Sabha, and the House of the People, which is the Lok Sabha. So it is clearly stated in the Constitution, even if you look at Article 85, it is the President of the nation who has a right to call for a session in the Parliament, and the President of the House who can suspend a session in the Parliament. The President is the first citizen, the head of the nation. Given the President's stature, it's only right and fair for opposition parties to expect that the new parliament will be inaugurated by the head of the nation, that is the President of India. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about, President not being given the due respect, we are definitely right, because I think Prime Minister Modi has never believed in being inclusive. With power comes great responsibility. It is a responsibility of the government of the day to ensure that they include the opposition parties in the discourse. But what do we see? When we see that there are 19 opposition parties, not only Indian National Congress, that decides not to participate in the inauguration, it sends out a message that you have failed to build up a consensus and to be inclusive in your approach. Number three, there is a larger political point that we need to make. In the parliament, we have seen as how different bills get passed without proper debate and discussion. During the time of UPA, about 65% of the bills were sent to scrutiny committee. Now, scrutiny committee will have representatives not only from the government of the day, but also from opposition members. These days, the bills are passed, only about 25% of the bills during the last 9 years of Modi-led government has been sent to such scrutiny committee. We see as how the opposition leaders have their mic silenced, how there is no debate, and in the last session, for the first time in the history of independent India, we saw that leaders and elected MPs from the government of the day tried to stall the parliament on Rahul Gandhi's issue, on Rahul Gandhi's speech in London. So we have had enough instances as how the BJP government had tried to undermine the constitution, had tried to undermine the parliament. And when you see that there are 19 opposition parties who are saying the same thing, it is time for the government of the day to do some self-introspection and find out as why so many people have a problem with the way you're doing an inauguration. The right thing would happen to invite the president, the head of the nation, the first citizen, and give her the due respect and let her inaugurate the parliament. The parliament
Okay, point taken, Mita. Point taken. We understand that is the argument that you're making. And, as far as obstructing parliament is concerned, both the government and the opposition accuse each other of doing exactly that. But before I go across to Brijesh Kalappa, Mita, you want to quickly respond to what the BJP spokesperson said, accusing the Congress of maligning the image of the President of India. You want to respond to that? Mita.
Yes, we are expecting that the government of the day would invite the President of the nation and give her the due respect. It is the government that is maligning. And one more thing, you mentioned about Indira ji and Rajiv ji inaugurating. How can you equate inauguration of a parliament's library or a new annex to the inauguration of the entire parliament new structure?
Mita, I have quoted Jairam Ramesh on that. I have quoted Jairam Ramesh on that. That was my precise question to the BJP spokesperson. Now I need to go across to Brijesh Kalappa of the Aam Aadmi Party. Mr. Kalappa, I have two questions for you. Number one, do you believe the government and the opposition could have handled this better? This is India's parliament that we are talking about. This is really an institution that ideally every Indian should take pride in. And number two, do you believe that this is now an issue that has become a rallying point for the opposition?
See, I think the first question is very important, and I think that as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, I think he's trying to create an image of being larger than life, and this has been his constant endeavor for the last now 9 years. Even when he began, he spoke of having a 56-inch chest, meaning that he was unlike other ordinary human beings. Therefore, today he's, the whole thing is now coming to an absolute, point of reckoning because of the fact that he has presented himself as superhuman. Now, after having been superhuman, can he ever point out and show that in the Constitution, under the Constitution, the President is above him? This is the basic point. I think any lawyer in the country will say that all decisions in India are taken under the name of the President of India. The President is the supreme commander of the forces. The President is vested with all executive authority insofar as any action of the central government is concerned. Now, also the fact that over 60% of the electorate have voted for these 19 political parties, which now stand in the way of Mr. Modi's inauguration of parliament. Because Mr. Modi had this great point that look, we have a mandate. Now he had a mandate of 37%. Now the 19 political parties which are opposing Mr. Modi's inauguration of parliament represent over 60% of the strength of parliament.
Statement as
Therefore, this is representative of 60% of the mandate, which is far more than Mr. Modi has. I think this is certainly a point which the BJP ought to think over, and this is not something which can easily be glossed over, because ultimately it must be remembered that it's only a mandate which got Mr. Modi the position of prime ministership. Now, if a mandate of 60% is opposed to the way in which Mr. Modi is going about it and really standing up and for the first time coming together and saying that, look, this is no way to treat the President of India, I think this issue can't be overemphasized. The President of India is not just a lady, also belongs to one of the depressed classes. And the BJP must also realize that even the Karnataka elections just recently, of 2021 assembly seats representing the the scheduled tribes, 19 have voted against them. So what is this message going to send across?
okay.
I think if Mr. Modi is tone deaf and the BJP is tone deaf to these developments, I think they deserve to be voted out of power, which they are most likely to do in 2024.